Why are you doing this to us? Answer me!
Because you're here.
It all begins in The Strangers, Chapter 1. Deep within the dense forest surrounding a small forgotten town in Oregon, we see an innocent man running for his life, desperate and terrified. Every frantic step he takes is consumed by fear, until his foot catches on a root and he crashes hard to the ground, his back slamming against the dirt. The pain knocks the air out of him, leaving him paralyzed, unable to move. He tries to crawl, to rise again, but there's no way out. The three masked figures who've been hunting him, each holding a machete or an axe, finally close in, ready to end his life in the most brutal, heartless way imaginable. That's when we meet our main characters, Maya and her boyfriend Ryan, driving cross-country toward Portland. At that exact moment, they're cutting through Oregon's winding back roads, and when they realize they still have a long way to go before reaching their destination, they decide to make a short stop to grab a bite. As they veer off the main highway, it hits them. They're celebrating their 5th anniversary that very same day, but a small lapse in attention almost causes an accident on the road, leaving Ryan visibly shaken. He has to pull out his inhaler, take a couple of breaths, and calm himself down. After driving for several more minutes, they discover they can't check the GPS to see where they are, because in that remote corner of nowhere there's no signal at all. Still, not long after, they spot an old weather-worn sign welcoming them to the town of Venus. Finding a small roadside diner, they decide to stop in for a meal before continuing the trip. The moment they step through the door, every person inside turns to stare at them with this odd, curious look. Like strangers rolling into town doesn't happen often around here. A waitress named Shelly approaches them with a friendly smile, notebook in hand, and takes their order, a turkey sandwich and a veggie salad. As the two talk openly about their anniversary, another couple sitting at the counter overhears and chimes in, mentioning that they are celebrating theirs on the very same day. The chat takes a turn when someone asks how long they've been married. Maya and Ryan explain that actually they've only been together for 5 years, never married. The whole place goes quiet for a beat, the air thick with awkward silence, as if everyone's silently wondering what's taking him so long to propose after all that time. When they finish their meal, the couple asks how to get back to the highway. That's when the waitress points to a faded missing person poster on the wall, showing the face of a traveler who once stopped in town and mysteriously was never seen again. To avoid that awkward silence creeping back in, they decide to leave the diner and hit the road again. However, when they try to drive out of town, they're shocked to realize the car just won't start. The local mechanic wastes no time offering his services. His shop happens to be right across the street. After checking under the hood for a few minutes, he tells them the alternator's blown out and the fix will take several hours, meaning our two protagonists have no choice but to spend the night in Venus. Unfortunately, the town's only motel is closed for repairs. Still, there's an Airbnb available since an old man in the area usually rents out his house during certain seasons. Ryan, however, doesn't like the idea one bit. He's convinced they're getting scammed. After all, the car was running perfectly fine just a while ago. He suspects someone might have messed with it on purpose to squeeze some cash out of them. Maya, on the other hand, sees it differently. She reminds him they almost got into an accident earlier on the road, and without bothering to argue, she agrees to let the mechanic handle the repair and decides they'll stay the night in town. Shelly, the waitress, even offers to drive them to the house where they'll be spending the night since she's heading that way herself. But nothing about Venus feels welcoming. The whole place gives off a weird, unsettling vibe, and even the kids around there look kinda eerie, almost disturbing. A bit later, Shelly keeps her word and gives them a lift to the house located right in the middle of nowhere. They find the keys tucked under a flower pot by the door. Though the surroundings feel off, both agree the place itself is cozy and peaceful, just right to relax for a night. Soon they realize the fridge isn't working, and they find a note with a number to call if anything goes wrong. Maya phones the owner to report the issue and asks if someone could come over to fix it. Time drags on slowly, and the young woman becomes mesmerized by the deep silence wrapping around the house. In that quiet, they both remember it's their anniversary, and the mood turns softer, more intimate. But just as things start to heat up and they head to the kitchen to toast to their 5 years together, loud knocks thunder against the front door, killing the moment instantly. When they go to see what's happening, they spot a shadowy figure barely visible in the dark. A woman's voice asks if Tamara is home. Startled, they reply no, that she must have the wrong house. But when the young woman walks away, she stays standing at a distance, staring straight at them, silent and motionless, without saying a single word, until she suddenly fades into the shadows. Even though the encounter leaves them a little shaken, nothing stops them from moving forward with their plans. At one point, Maya recalls one of their most unforgettable dates, the one where, surrounded by that breathtaking scenery and the soft, peaceful atmosphere, she honestly believed Ryan was finally gonna propose to her. Driven by that memory, she asks him if he'd be willing to move with her to Portland once she lands the job she's been dreaming of for so long. wrong. Naturally, he agrees without hesitation, and both of them admit they want to spend the rest of their lives together. But suddenly, a small cough reminds Ryan that he needs to look for his inhaler, and that's when Maya realizes she left it back in the car. Her boyfriend doesn't get upset. Instead, he tries to come up with a solution. He tells her there's a motorcycle on the property, and he could take it to ride back to the repair shop to grab his inhaler, maybe even bring back something to eat for dinner. Meanwhile, our protagonist stays alone inside the house, trying to distract herself when a strange noise from outside startles her. She places her phone carefully on the table and heads toward the door, expecting to welcome her boyfriend. But when she looks through the window, there's absolutely no one outside. At first, she thinks it's Ryan, but her doubt grows stronger when she hears those same heavy knocks pounding on the door again. Even then, she speaks as if it were him, trying to confirm it's her boyfriend, but there's still no reply. She approaches the peephole cautiously, but she can't make out anything through it. Suddenly, a woman's voice asks, in a chilling, almost trembling tone, if Tamara is home. Maya's heart starts pounding fast because that same woman had already been there earlier, and they'd told her she had the wrong house. Things turn more disturbing when the visitor suddenly covers the peephole with her hand, blocking her face completely. Terrified, Maya locks the door latch, while the woman keeps knocking, pounding harder and harder, repeating the same eerie question over and over. What Maya doesn't know is that she's no longer alone. Someone has already managed to slip inside the house without her noticing. Trying to calm down as she waits for Ryan, she suddenly realizes her phone isn't on the table anymore. Confused, she looks around every corner of the room, convinced she must have left it somewhere nearby. But when she finally finds it and picks it up, she hears the faint voice of a woman softly singing a lullaby. Frozen in fear, she checks each window, trying to figure out where the sound is coming from, but there's no one outside. Right then, a strange noise echoes through the house, forcing her to gather all her courage to find out what's going on. Immediately, she calls her boyfriend to tell him that the mysterious girl has come back to the house, though it seems she's left again. But all she manages to do is leave a message on his voicemail, begging him with desperation to return as soon as possible. Overwhelmed by nerves, she feels the only way to calm down is to smoke a little, trying to catch her breath and regain her composure. Meanwhile, we see Ryan arriving at the repair shop late that night, looking for his inhaler inside the car. But his presence startles the mechanic, who mistakes him for a thief and confronts him harshly. Faced with the man's aggression, Ryan decides to back off and leave quickly, not wasting a single second arguing. Back at the house, our protagonist, now a bit calmer, decides to pass the time playing the piano until she hears the sound of the wooden stairs creaking behind her. She turns around, but no one's there. Yet the scarecrow, a man wearing a horrifying mask, is sitting right behind her, staring at her in dead silence, until he suddenly vanishes into thin air. Meanwhile, her boyfriend heads out to grab a couple of burgers, having no clue that back at the house, Maya just can't seem to find her peace. She decides to take a long, relaxing bath, not realizing that someone's actually watching her, keeping a close eye on every move she makes. Still, she can't shake off the feeling that something's off, even though she keeps telling herself it's all just in her head. When she steps out of the shower and starts drying her hair, a sudden short circuit shuts off all the lights in the house. At first, she thinks it's her fault, and using her phone's flashlight, she tries to find the fuse box to fix the issue. But with every step she takes, the creaks and strange noises echoing through the place grow louder and louder for no clear reason. Even so, she keeps searching until she finally locates the fuse box. That's when her phone slips from her hand and hits the floor. And as she bends down to pick it up, her heart pounds wildly when she realizes she's not alone. A woman wearing a strange, eerie mask is staring at her from the shadows. Frozen in fear, Maya snaps out of it and bolts, running to hide in the first room she can find. Locked inside a closet, she silently prays not to be discovered, though deep down she knows it's only a matter of time. The footsteps get closer, heavier, and the sound of the wood creaking beneath the intruder's feet echoes menacingly throughout the entire house. The rooms upstairs are checked one by one while Maya holds her breath, desperate not to make the slightest sound. Suddenly, the person who opens the door isn't a stranger. It's Ryan, back home and completely unaware of what's been happening. Terrified, Maya throws herself into his arms, tears streaming down her face, trembling as she mutters that there's someone inside the house. Confused, she tries to explain that the lights went out, though she's not sure whether it was a short circuit or something else entirely. But Ryan, startled, doesn't understand what she's talking about. He didn't see anyone when he came in. She leads him to the fuse box, and together they manage to restore the power without much trouble. As they try to make sense of what just happened, he asks her exactly what she saw. Maya insists there was a woman wearing a mask standing right behind him, swearing it wasn't just her imagination. But Ryan finds what seems like a logical explanation. Right where she claims to have seen someone, there's a portrait of a grotesque clown hanging on the wall. Noticing the scent of weed in the air, he assumes she must have smoked earlier, and figures the stress, the darkness, and the unfamiliar place probably messed with her perception. To him, it's all just a bad trick her mind played on her. He doesn't blame her for thinking she saw someone in the house, but right at that exact moment, The pounding on the door starts up again, louder this time, and he grows more and more impatient with the whole situation. Our protagonist finally steps outside, determined to ask that girl what the hell she's looking for. But as soon as he's out there, he spots her standing in the distance, staring at them with a cold, unsettling stillness. Gathering up some courage, Ryan decides to walk toward her to demand an explanation. But the closer he gets, the faster the strange girl turns around and bolts into the dark, running as far away from him as she can. With no other choice, he heads back inside to his girlfriend, trying hard to stay calm. He figures they won't be bothered again for the rest of the night, but Maya's not entirely convinced. Worried, she asks what they'll do if the girl shows up again, though Ryan insists it's probably just some weird local teenager, someone totally harmless. Seeing how relaxed he seems, Maya reminds herself she's already faced things just as terrifying back in the city and lived to tell the tale, so she tries her best not to let this get under her skin. They sit down to eat, chatting about how soon they might continue their trip if the mechanic hands over the car in the morning. For a brief moment, they manage to forget the fear that had consumed her not long ago, laughing together over small, silly jokes. But then something instantly grabs their attention. A red liquid drips onto the box of fries, and it's definitely not ketchup. Within seconds, the thick substance spreads across the entire table, and when they look up, they're horrified to see a slaughtered animal hanging from the ceiling. Now they know for sure they're in real danger. Maya wasn't imagining things. Instantly, they rush to lock every door and window in the house as fast as they can. But right then, the scarecrow starts smashing the front door with an axe, the blade slicing close enough to almost graze Maya's nose. The impact shakes them to the core, and they watch helplessly as this deranged figure hacks furiously at the door, trying to break his way inside. They sprint to hide in the farthest room they can find, praying for some kind of miracle to save them. Yet when they glance toward the doorway, they spot twisted, smiling faces drawn in blood. The three masked killers are already inside the property, but they're in no hurry to find their prey. They move slowly through the house, tormenting them with every sound, every creak, every breath, until suddenly the scarecrow slams his axe against the bedroom door where they're hiding, splintering the wood with savage force, just to remind them once again that there's nowhere left to hide and no place that's safe anymore. And when he finally breaks through the door, he just stops, standing there silent, leaving them trembling, as if he's savoring every second of their fear, dragging out their suffering just a little longer. Our protagonists still aren't sure if it's safe to leave the room, so Ryan, gathering all the courage he's got, slowly steps into the hallway to make sure they can try to escape. But soon, both of them realize the intruders are toying with them. They just want to terrify them. That's the only reason they stopped so suddenly. Now, the only thing that matters is figuring out how to get the hell out of there. That's when Ryan comes up with an idea. Use the motorcycle to escape as fast as possible from that nightmare of a place. Without wasting another second, they head out into the hall, and to their surprise, don't run into anyone. They assume those maniacs have already left the house, but when they find Ryan's phone, they see it's been smashed to pieces. Even so, they don't let that distract them and rush straight toward the motorcycle outside. But right before reaching it, the bike bursts into flames. The attackers had soaked it in gasoline, setting it on fire to make sure they couldn't get away. With no other way out, they hurry back inside, desperate to come up with a plan. They lock themselves in the bathroom, and the only thing they find to defend themselves with is a pocket knife. But then Maya remembers the owner of the house was a hunter, so maybe, just maybe, there's a gun hidden somewhere around. Meanwhile, the strangers wait for them patiently in the living room, as if they already know the couple will have to come out eventually. Trying to stay calm, Maya thinks of a new idea: escape quietly through the ventilation system. They crawl beneath the house, moving slowly to avoid making any noise, but one wrong move makes her press her hand down on a rusty nail, tearing into her skin. Her muffled cry gives away their position, but since the killers can't pinpoint exactly where the sound came from, they end up ignoring it. Now Maya's got to deal with the unbearable pain from her wound. She knows she's got to pull the nail out fast if she wants to keep going, so with extreme care, Ryan removes it while she bites her lip, fighting back the screams. A few moments later, they find the vent that leads outside. They check first to make sure no one's nearby, and once the coast is clear, they crawl out and make a run for the shed to hide. On the way there, Ryan trips over a rock, twisting his ankle and unknowingly dropping his inhaler. Even with the pain slowing him down, they manage to reach the shed and barricade themselves inside. The place is pitch black. They can't see a damn thing, but when Ryan flicks his lighter, neither of them realizes that they're not alone in there. They immediately start searching the place, checking every corner for anything they could use as a weapon. Ryan grabs one firmly, ready to fight if it comes down to it, cause deep down he knows the danger's far from over. Even with his leg throbbing in pain, our guy keeps looking around the shed, determined to find a real weapon, leaving Maya alone for just a moment. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she catches a quick glimpse of someone running between the trees out in the woods. Before she can even react, one of the masked women chasing them steps right into view. Terrified, Maya starts backing away, but suddenly from the window, the scarecrow grabs her by the neck, choking choking her. Ryan hears her scream and rushes in, firing the shotgun he'd found in the shed, blasting the attacker and saving her just in time. Once she's safe, he holds her tight, promising her that he won't let anything bad happen to her, swearing that as long as he's breathing, he's gonna keep her safe. He tells her he found plenty of ammo, enough to fight their way out. They decide to prepare for an escape, and moving carefully, they step out of the shed, heading back toward the house, ready to end this nightmare once and for all. But those maniacs are still out there, watching, lurking in the dark. When Ryan thinks one of them is standing near the entrance, he doesn't hesitate. He charges forward and attacks, trying to wipe out any possible threat. But just as he starts to feel some relief, believing he's taken down one of the freaks that's been hunting them, Maya nervously asks where the mask is, the one the attacker had been wearing all night. That's when both of them freeze, realizing in horror the awful mistake they've made. The man Ryan struck down had been carrying a toolbox. He wasn't one of them. He was the actual owner of the house. Guilt hits him hard, crushing him. He can't believe he's just killed an innocent man. Maya tries to comfort him, reminding him that all he ever wanted was to protect them both. Trying to stay composed, Ryan notices the keys that fell to the floor and figures maybe, just maybe, they could use the man's pickup truck to get out of there. Without wasting another second, they grab the keys, take the shotgun, and jump into the vehicle. They check everything's working, start the engine, and spot a phone on the seat. For the first time, they believe they might finally escape this living nightmare. But out of nowhere, a brick smashes through Maya's window, shattering the glass. The shock costs them a few precious seconds, and before they can even process what's happening, the psycho's truck slams into them with brutal force, over and over again, until it crushes their vehicle against a tree. The engine sputters and dies, leaving them completely trapped. In total panic, they realize they gotta get out, but Ryan's leg is pinned hard against the door and he can't move. Maya manages to climb out through the window and tries to help him get free, but he, fully aware of how bad things have gotten, begs her to run as far away as she possibly can. She refuses, fiercely determined not to leave him behind, but in the end, with no other choice, she takes off, disappearing into the darkness of the woods. Now completely alone, our protagonist grabs the shotgun, ready to face whoever's driving that truck, but the driver vanishes in an instant, only to reappear out of nowhere, swinging an axe straight at him. Ryan reacts just in time and fires, though the maniac manages to dodge the blast and disappears deep into the woods, dead set on hunting Maya down. Feeling momentarily safe, Ryan struggles until he frees his trapped leg, then smashes what's left of the windshield, crawling out of the wrecked car. Gasping for breath, he steadies himself and starts moving through the night, desperate to find his girlfriend before it's too late. Meanwhile, in the pitch-black, silent forest surrounding the cursed town of Venus, Maya runs blindly through the trees, hearing those twisted strangers chasing right behind her with every step. Without realizing it, she stumbles upon the same spot where that missing man vanished long ago. Seizing the chance, she hides beneath the branches, pressing herself low to the ground and blending into the shadows as best she can. But the crunch of dry leaves beneath her foot betrays her. One of the masked women arrives, prowling dangerously close to where Maya's concealed, but she can't see her, blinded by the darkness and by how well Maya's managed to stay hidden. With no other choice, Maya holds her breath and stays perfectly still, her heart pounding like thunder as she prays not to be found or butchered right there where she crouches. By some miracle, the killer decides to turn back, leaving her alone. Seizing the moment, Maya pulls out the phone she'd found inside the homeowner's car and, gathering what little composure she has left, tries to call the cops. Her voice trembles as she explains what's happening, that there are people out there trying to kill them for no reason, and she begs, absolutely pleads, for someone to send help. But the operator on the other end can barely hear her. The signal's weak, the static relentless, cutting her words into fragments no one could make sense of. No matter how much she tries, her message won't get through. The coverage just won't hold. Still, Maya refuses to give up. She moves cautiously through the clearing, raising the phone in search of a stronger signal, when she suddenly recoils in horror. A corpse lies just inches away, another victim of those same masked lunatics. Finally, she manages to reconnect with the dispatcher, but the call lasts only seconds before the line drops again, abruptly cutting off all hope. Shaking and terrified, she realizes she can't stay there any longer, so she keeps running, deeper into the trees, guided only by fear, not knowing where she's heading or if she'll ever make it out alive. Out of options, she decides to hide among the tree trunks, trying to think of a way out, but soon realizes that not even there is she safe. Her pursuers are still right behind her, closing in without her even noticing until it's too late. Within seconds, one of the masked women gets close enough to strike her hard across the head, knocking her completely unconscious, then drags her limp body back toward the house while humming a deeply disturbing lullaby that echoes through the woods. Meanwhile, the rest of those maniacs wander through the dark forest with only one goal: to find Ryan. He limps through the trees, shouting Maya's name over and over, desperate to find her alive, but the pain in his leg barely lets him stay upright, and that same desperation makes him reckless. His lack of caution gives away his location, allowing those strangers to track him down with terrifying ease. Slowly, the cold night air starts burning his lungs, and when he reaches for his inhaler, all he finds in his pockets are a few shotgun shells. Terrified and gasping, our protagonist struggles to calm himself and catch his breath, but the ragged noise of his breathing ends up betraying him. He drops down beside an old abandoned tractor and spots a half-empty water bottle lying nearby. Thinking fast, he decides to empty it out, hoping it might help him breathe a little easier. However, to do that, he has to crush the bottle, and the sharp crack of plastic instantly gives away his position to the scarecrow. The killer locks in on the sound, figuring out exactly where he's hiding. But just when it seems like he's about to be caught, we realize Ryan's already moved on. He keeps pushing forward through the darkness, wounded leg dragging, shotgun clutched tight in his trembling hands. Every step takes everything he's got left, but he refuses to stop. He's got to find his girlfriend. Still, out there in the empty, silent forest, those masked figures stalk him from every direction, unseen but ever present. At one point, one of the women bolts toward the sounds he's making, convinced she's about to corner him for good, only to end up being the one caught off guard. Without hesitation, Ryan presses the barrel of the shotgun to the back of her neck, forcing her to drop her weapon. He yells, voice shaking with rage and fear, demanding to know where his girlfriend is. But the stranger doesn't say a word. Instead, she bursts into hysterical laughter, calm and unhinged all at once. Even so, she obeys, letting the knife slip from her hand and fall to the ground. Ryan seizes the chance, forcing her to turn around and tell him once and for all where Maya is. But the psychopath stays silent. Instead, she starts moving in a twisted, erratic dance, screaming and wailing like a maniac, both to terrify him and to give away his position to the others still hunting nearby. He refuses to pull the trigger without a reason, not wanting to hurt anyone else that night. But fed up with the woman's silence and her mocking calm, he reloads the shotgun to show he means business. She, however, doesn't believe him for a second. She knows deep down he doesn't have it in him to shoot, so she just waits, still quiet, disturbingly serene, for her partner to show up and finish the job. Moments later, Ryan is struck down and dragged back to the house. The place is a total nightmare, blood everywhere, tools covered in gore, and the unmistakable chaos of a night that turned into pure hell for the tourists who had the misfortune of stopping in that cursed little town. Our two protagonists, now gagged and tied up side by side, can do nothing but wait for whatever comes next, powerless to change their fate. When Maya finally manages to wake her boyfriend, he's dazed for a few seconds, disoriented until she helps him understand that they've been captured. Yet even with tears filling his eyes, he whispers to her that they'll be okay. He swears they'll make it out together no matter what, but Maya can only cry and apologize over and over, blaming herself for insisting they spend the night in this place. She feels every bit of the guilt, believing it's all her fault for ignoring the signs, the coincidences, the warnings that trapped them in Venus. Still, Ryan, sensing the danger closing in, refuses to let those final moments slip away without saying what's been in his heart all along. Through a flood of apologies and trembling words, fully aware of the horror surrounding them and knowing this might be their last night alive, he asks the love of his life to marry him. His voice cracks as he begs her to be his wife, and of course, she says yes. The two lock eyes, holding on to each other with everything they have left, reminding themselves how deeply they love one another. But that tender instant is shattered when Ryan suddenly feels a searing, unbearable pain ripping straight through his chest. And just like that, the life drains from our protagonist right before her eyes. He slips away slowly, suffering in a torment so cruel and senseless that it defies reason, an agony whose meaning he never comes to understand. His fiancée, frozen in horror, can do nothing but watch, helpless, as those deranged beings complete their grotesque ritual. Everything they do seems part of a sick, deliberate ceremony, each of them playing their role, feeding off the fear and anguish of others. When they finally finish off her beloved right in front of her, Maya breaks down completely, consumed by a scream of grief so raw it seems to tear through the silence of the night. Between sobs, she yells at those psychopaths, demanding to know what they want from them, because neither of them ever did anything to deserve this, nor knew anyone in that godforsaken town who could possibly hate them that much. Desperate, she waits for some kind of answer, something, anything, that could make sense of so much cruelty. But the strangers just stare back at her, cold and emotionless, replying that they torment them simply because they were there, in the wrong place, at the wrong time. Now she's the only one left standing. The scarecrow grips the weapon in his hands, ready to end her life once and for all. In one final act of defiance, Maya hurls every insult she can muster, screaming with all the strength left in her, fully aware she's got nothing else to lose. And just like her beloved, she feels that sharp, burning pain tearing straight through through her abdomen, an unbearable torment that shakes her entire body, flooding her veins with agony. The suffering takes complete control. Beyond the physical pain, a crushing sense of helplessness consumes her, knowing deep down there's nothing she can do to change her fate. Just as they did with her boyfriend, they toss her to the ground, leaving her there to bleed out while the killers watch in eerie calm, savoring the moment as if it was some twisted performance meant for their own sick pleasure. But then, from far off in the distance, the wail of police sirens cuts through the silence, echoing through the forest and shattering the stillness of the night. The strangers realize it's time to leave. Without rushing, they gather their things and walk away, fading into the darkness before climbing into their truck and disappearing down the road, leaving behind nothing but horror, blood, and silence. A few minutes later, the patrol cars storm into the area. The officers move quickly through the house, and unlike her boyfriend, Maya is found still breathing. Paramedics rush to her side, stabilizing her and carrying her out of that nightmare. Against all odds, she survives, barely living through the terrifying night in Venus that should have claimed her life. This video is powered by the elite members of Full Movie Recaps, the ones who keep this channel running and get access to everything before the rest of the world. As an elite, you don't wait, you don't deal with ads, you watch recaps of movies still in theaters, sometimes even before they release in your country. You get to request the recap you want, unlock a private library of exclusive videos, and most importantly, see your name in the credits as one of the real supporters who make this possible. Most viewers are always behind, but elite members are ahead of everyone. Hit join now and step into the elite.
Every household and business in Pennsylvania. I mean, last week Joe Biden went to Pittsburgh after months of campaigning on a plan to abolish fossil fuels. I heard him say, quote, "I am not for banning fracking." Well, maybe he just forgot what he said before. So let me help him out. I mean, the people of Pennsylvania deserve to know. When Joe Biden was asked in July of last year, quote, "Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?" Joe Biden said, quote, "No. We would make sure it's eliminated." When he was questioned by an activist if he would ban fracking, Joe Biden said, and I quote, "I would love to." And last March in a debate, Joe Biden said, "No new fracking." You know, here in Pennsylvania, some estimates show that ending fracking would literally cost 500,000 jobs. But that's apparently not a problem for Joe. Because he was asked in a debate whether he'd be willing, and this was the question, whether he'd be willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of blue-collar jobs for the sake of their radical environmental agenda, and he said, quote, "The answer is yes." And about this time last year, he even said to a supporter, I guarantee, we're going to end fossil fuels." I mean, the truth of the matter is, we should take Joe Biden at his word and make sure we have 4 more years of energy independence, 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. What Joe doesn't know is that America's future depends on energy independence. So I promise you, all you gathered here, all the great workers at Penn Energy, whatever you may hear over what happens between now and Election Day, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, and the radical left are going to work to abolish fossil fuels, but we're not going to let it happen. With President Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to have more fracking, more American energy, more energy independence for this generation and for generations to come. Problem. Yeah, it's just one of the reasons why we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I mean, 4 more years means more jobs. 4 more years means more support for our troops and our police. 4 more years means more energy independence. And it's going to take at least 4 more years to drain that swamp. You know, every day President Trump has been fighting to protect the promise of America. And every day our president has been fighting to expand the reach of the American dream to every American of every race and creed and color. I've been there with him every step of the way, and I can promise you, he never stops fighting. And President Donald Trump has never stopped fighting for you. So now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on. It's on, Pennsylvania. So I need you to bring it. I need you to let these people go find some shade. Let me hear, give me a big round of applause for the Penn Energy team. What a great team. What a great team. Thank you, men and women. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming out today, but I leave you here with a challenge, folks. I got up this morning, I think there's like 55 days left to Election Day. So we got to put our head down and we got to go tell the story to all of our neighbors and friends. And we got to have faith, okay? I mean, we got to have faith in the American people. As we see the other side laying out their radical left agenda of more taxes, more regulation, less support for our troops and our police, departing from our most cherished values and liberties and ideals. And you see a president that's standing up for everything that's always made America great. We got to go have confidence. I truly do believe, standing here in Freedom, Pennsylvania, every time the American people are given a choice between more freedom and less freedom, they choose more freedom every time. This is a freedom-loving nation, so go talk to your neighbors and friends and tell them freedom's on the ballot on November 3rd. And have that other kind of faith, too, that in these challenging times, when it seems like there's more that divides us in this country than any time in my lifetime, I still believe that there will always be more that unites us than could ever divide us, and chief among those things is faith. And so on this one, I just encourage you to, if you occasionally bow the head and bend the knee, be a good time to do it in the next 55 days. And on this one, though, I'm not so much talking about praying for our team or for a cause or for a party. I'm just saying, pray for America. Pray for all the American people. Because America matters. And prayer matters. And I truly do believe that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray, He'll do like He's always done in the long and storied history of this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and He'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every household and business in Pennsylvania. I mean, last week Joe Biden went to Pittsburgh after months of campaigning on a plan to abolish fossil fuels. I heard him say, quote, "I am not for banning fracking." Well, maybe he just forgot what he said before. So let me help him out. I mean, the people of Pennsylvania deserve to know. When Joe Biden was asked in July of last year, quote, "Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?" Joe Biden said, quote, "No. We would make sure it's eliminated." When he was questioned by an activist if he would ban fracking, Joe Biden said, and I quote, "I would love to." And last March in a debate, Joe Biden said, "No new fracking." You know, here in Pennsylvania, some estimates show that ending fracking would literally cost 500,000 jobs. But that's apparently not a problem for Joe. Because he was asked in a debate whether he'd be willing, and this was the question, whether he'd be willing to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of blue-collar jobs for the sake of their radical environmental agenda. And he said, quote, "The answer is yes." And about this time last year, he even said to a supporter, I guarantee, we're going to end fossil fuels. I mean, the truth of the matter is, we should take Joe Biden at his word and make sure we have 4 more years of energy independence, 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. What Joe doesn't know is that America's future depends on energy independence. So I promise you, all you gathered here, all the great workers at Penn Energy, whatever you may hear over what happens between now and Election Day, Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, and the radical left are going to work to abolish fossil fuels, but we're not going to let it happen. With President Donald Trump in the White House, we're going to have more fracking, more American energy, more energy independence for this generation and for generations to come. Problem. Yeah, it's just one of the reasons why we need 4 more years of President Donald Trump in the White House. I mean, 4 more years means more jobs. 4 more years means more support for our troops and our police. 4 more years means more energy independence. And it's going to take at least 4 more years to drain that swamp. You know, every day President Trump has been fighting to protect the promise of America. Every day our president has been fighting to expand the reach of the American dream to every American of every race and creed and color. I've been there with him every step of the way, and I can promise you, he never stops fighting. And President Donald Trump has never stopped fighting for you. So now it's our turn to fight for him. It's on. It's on, Pennsylvania. So I need you to bring it. I need you to let these people go find some shade. Let me hear, give me a big round of applause for the Penn Energy team. What a great team. What a great team. Thank you, men and women. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming out today, but I leave you here with a challenge, folks. I got up this morning, I think there's like 55 days left to Election Day. So we got to put our head down and we got to go tell the story to all of our neighbors and friends. And we got to have faith, okay? I mean, we got to have faith in the American people. As we see the other side laying out their radical left agenda of more taxes, more regulation, less support for our troops and our police, departing from our most cherished values and liberties and ideals. And you see a president that's standing up for everything that's always made America great. We got to go have confidence. I truly do believe, standing here in Freedom, Pennsylvania, every time the American people are given a choice between more freedom and less freedom, they choose more freedom every time. This is a freedom-loving nation, so go talk to your neighbors and friends and tell them freedom's on the ballot on November 3rd. And have that other kind of faith, too, that in these challenging times, when it seems like there's more that divides us in this country than any time in my lifetime, I still believe that there will always be more that unites us than could ever divide us, and chief among those things is faith. And so on this one, I just encourage you to, if you occasionally bow the head and bend the knee, be a good time to do it. in the next 55 days. And on this one, though, I'm not so much talking about praying for our team or for a cause or for a party. I'm just saying, pray for America. Pray for all the American people. Because America matters. And prayer matters. And I truly do believe that if His people who are called by His name will humble themselves and pray, He'll do like He's always done in the long and storied history of this great nation. He'll hear from heaven, and He'll heal this land. This one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shot there, knocked away as Egan went up. Here's Jones, Greg wide open, can't get that one to fall off the fingertips. Still pivoting, fadeaway shot is up. Can't get it to find because of injury. One of the guys they're going to expect a lot from, and a
legal screen away. Right there. He was showing some zone defense.
Zanoni, long range style, can't get that one to go. Underneath, put back, and that one does rattle home.
3-point game.
Collins, he'll launch. Too strong. Lead up to as many as 13. Quakers have been chipping away. Or did I already say McDonald?
All good.
The shot is up, and that's good. I mean, he goes with some quick ball movement. Jones, Greg gets going, has his spot sealed off, and a whistle. First shot from the charity stripe for him here this afternoon. Shooter from the free throw line. Just over 100 attempts a year ago. Able to make good on both ends there. Greg. Here's Luth. No good. It'll be knocked away. McDonald right there. Turnaround shot. Can't get it to go as he tumbles down to the.
Nice.
Mayock all have netted some points.
And you know who has not scored? Jeff Sprouse.
Now thrower. Less than 10 seconds on the shot clock. He'll take a long range shot and drain it. Not going to have to play here in the first half. Jones slings it over. McDonald hands off to Sprouse. Jeff gets it to Nausatis. Long range style. That's up. Separate game clock from shot clock as the first half winds down. McDonald. Now here's Jones. Greg, long range shot. That's up. 3-point attempt at the other end from thrower.
Julian has worked really hard in the offseason in the weight room with the coaching staff, and it's paid off.
You can see his body is really got in shape.
It's great to see the fruits of one's labor translating to the floor.
I remember my freshman year in American, I thought I would play a lot more than I did. Realize I needed to get weight and get a lot stronger. Different from high school to college.
And not just in the speed of the game, which is what everyone talks about, but also just the size and how big you need to be, as that's going to be thrown away. Levine frustrated with himself as he threw that one high and way off the mark.
And Coach Zachary wasted no time getting Levine out of the game after that pass. Throw back in.
Levine getting a word of encouragement from one of the assistants as he walks down toward the end of the bench.
Not happy camping.
Here's Sprouse. Now Turvey. Mayock. Jeff will take it back, give it right back to Mayock. Matt driving in, has it sealed off. Now here's Jones. Greg in some traffic, turns it around, off the mark, and the rebound is down for Power.
I'd like to see Greg use his left hand there. Kind of turn awkwardly.
Long-range style, that's up, and it rattles home for Power. Power now playing with 5 points.
Big basket right there.
Sprouse Creates a little space. Long range paddles home. Jeff with 5 points here in the second half. Eagles up 9.
Give Jeff a lot of credit. Been frustrated not scoring first half. Comes down to the game, come to him. Just knocked down a 3.
That took only that one shot in the first half. Got a couple here in the second. Made them both count. Turning it around. Shot there is good from Powell.
Shot there, knocked away as Egan went up. Here's Jones, Greg, wide open. Can't get that one to fall off the fingertips. Still pivoting, fadeaway shot is up. Can't get it to find because of injury. One of the guys they're going to expect a lot from, and a
legal screen right there. He was showing some zone defense.
Zanoni, long range style, can't get that one to go. Underneath, put back, and that one does rattle home.
3-point game.
Collins, he'll launch. Too strong. Lead up to as many as 13. Quakers have been chipping away. Or did I already say McDonald?
All good.
The shot is up, and that's good.
I mean,
he goes with some quick ball movement. Jones, Greg gets going, has his spot sealed off, and a whistle. First shot from the charity stripe for him here this afternoon. Shooter from the free throw line. Just over 100 attempts a year ago. Able to make good on both ends there. Greg. Here's Luth. No good. It'll be knocked away. McDonald right there. Turnaround shot. Can't get it to go as he tumbles down to the... Mayock all have netted some points.
And you know who has not scored? Jeff Sprouse.
Now thrower. Less than 10 seconds on the shot clock. He'll take a long-range shot and drain it. Not going to have to play here in the first half. Jones slings it over. McDonald hands off to Sprouse. Jeff gets it to Nausatis. Long-range style. That's up. Separate game clock from shot clock as the first half winds down. McDonald. Now here's Jones. Greg, long-range shot. That's up. 3-point attempt at the other end from thrower.
Dillon has worked really hard in the offseason, in the weight room, with the coaching staff, and it's paid off.
You can see his body is really got in shape.
It's great to see the fruits of one's labor translating to the floor.
I can remember my freshman year in American. I thought I would play a lot more than I did. Realize I needed to get weight and get a lot stronger. Different from high school to college.
And not just in the speed of the game, which is what everyone talks about, but also just the size and how big you need to be, as that's going to be thrown away. Levine frustrated with himself as he threw that one high and way off the mark.
And Coach McCaffrey wasted no time getting Levine out of the game after that pass. Throw it back in.
Levine getting a word of encouragement from one of the assistants as he walks down toward the end of the bench.
He's not happy camping.
Here's Sprouse. Now Turvey. Mayock. Jeff will take it back, give it right back to Mayock. Matt driving in, has it sealed off. Now here's Jones. Greg in some traffic, turns it around, off the mark, and a rebound is down for Power.
I'd like to see Greg use his left hand there. Kind of turn awkwardly.
Long range style, that's up, and it rattles home for Power. Power now playing with 5 points.
Big basket right there.
Sprouse creates a little space. Long range paddles home. Jeff with 5 points here in the second half. Eagles up 9.
Give Jeff a lot of credit. Been frustrated not scoring first half. Comes down to the game, come to him. Just knocked down a 3.
That took only that one shot in the first half. Got a couple here in the second. Made them both count. Turning it around. Shot there is good from Powell.